I dare any Liberal voter to go look at an immigration chart, a chart of doctors available in Canada, and a housing start chart, and tell me how the Liberal Party gives one solitary shit about Canadian citizens. Our immigration chart in Canada is pure insanity. Normally, up until about the year 2020, it was, say, between 100 and 300,000 people, 300,000 in a massively large year. And then it absolutely explodes. Post-COVID, all of a sudden, 1.2, 1.4 million, when we clearly do not have anything close to the infrastructure. I personally know 2 people that have passed away in our disastrous healthcare system because they couldn't get care quickly enough. Social services, GDP per capita getting crushed, standard living wages, the availability of housing falling like crazy. You cannot make an argument that the current immigration crisis, immigration standards in Canada, is meant to do anything except for benefit an incredibly small percentage of people at the very top. Mark Carney worked at Brookfield for a decade prior to becoming the Prime Minister of Canada. Brookfield owns $37 billion worth of real estate in Canada. That number has doubled since 2015. This is a man who is looking out for the best interest, not of the top 1%, but of the top 0.01%. Historical parallel after historical parallel exists of countries that had similar social setups to Canada and all of a sudden allowed massive explosions in immigration, and every single time we saw the disintegration of culture and the eventual fall of that civilization. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And in Canada, if we continue at the current rates, it is not going to be a long period of time at all. It's going to be between 12 and 24 months. The 3 closest comps I could come up with are 3rd to 5th century Rome, Argentina in about the 1950s, and Lebanon between, say, 1940 and 1970. All 3, all of a sudden, very similar to Canada, a 500, 600% explosion in mass immigration with disastrous results. We're already seeing this. Anybody who's lived in Canada for the entirety of their life knows that this country has transformed from what it even used to be 10 years ago when Justin Trudeau was elected, and not in a good way. Liberals will tell you, everybody's the exact same, no matter where you're from, what your background, it's all due to circumstance. Unfortunately for them, there's a real world out there, and we know that that's not the case. We absolutely know that's not the case. We need people who share the values of Canadians: freedom of expression, freedom of movement, sovereignty. Our Charter of Rights and Freedoms is the basis that made this country great. Sovereignty, self-reliance, free speech, these are the pillars of Western civilization. And anybody who walks around on Canadian streets on a consistent basis knows that there are thousands of people in this country, hundreds of thousands of people in this country who do not share those values whatsoever. We see fake body bags, we see blood on people's hands, we see some of the most vile stuff shouted through loudspeakers. And what does our government do? What does the state police do? They roll the red carpet out for them. The Canadian values are being destroyed by this woke virus of a mindset that says everybody is the exact same. It's all based on circumstance. It's so obvious to any thinking person who's been alive for more than 20 years that that's not the case. It takes a long time to build a symbiotic culture in a country, which we were fortunate enough to have in Canada for 50 years. And now in the period of 3 years, it's absolutely being blown up so that an incredibly small number of people at Brookfield Asset Management can get rich as hell. Carney subscribes to the Century Initiative that says that Canada needs to have 100 million citizens by the year 2100. They do not view this as a country with a proud history. Those of us who have ancestors, World War I, World War II, doesn't matter. They just view it as a landmass to make money on. Carney, if you're going to invite 1.3 million people into the country, or he's even doing it faster now, 800,000 in 2025. How about you build some goddamn prefab construction? The issue is we need to be able to match the infrastructure, the medical care needs, and he's not doing it. The only things he's focusing on are things that can get him rich through Brookfield Asset Management. You look at the big talk he had about all these different infrastructure deals that he was going to get done when he was elected as prime minister. None of them have happened except for prefab housing. You say, hey, I wonder why they're focusing on prefab housing. Guess what? Brookfield just purchased a company called Modular. Modular makes prefab housing. Carney is literally looking at his responsibilities as prime minister through the prism of getting himself and his companies rich. That's what he fundamentally cares about. He lied during the run-up to the election about the fact that he stated all he had was cash and real estate agents. He actually has investments in over 500 companies, over 99% of which are based in the States. Pretty ironic for a guy who's so allegedly Canada's economic advisor under Trudeau and is touted as this genius for Canada's economy. He doesn't even invest any of his own money in Canada. He could give two solitary fucks about the average middle lower class Canadian, and it's so obvious. It's so obvious when you watch the guy in interviews, the way he sneers, looks down his nose at people. I know the Canadian people have had enough, and we understand this country is going to disappear if we don't turn this around immediately. Carney allowed in another 800K permanent and temporary immigrants in Q1 2025, on pace for 3.2 million this year. It's true insanity. Our country is transforming in front of our eyes. If we do not stand up against what is an invasion of Canada, I can only imagine. We know what's going to happen in the next decade or so. It's time to stand up and fight this madness. I'm hosting a rally Saturday, September 13th, noon at Parliament Hill. If you're interested in attending, shoot me a message, let me know. Want to match it up with the same day as the UK's rally. They're expecting 500,000 people. I know there's a hell of a lot of Canadian patriots out there. I'm over 10K on TikTok now, so please make sure, if you're not, follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/@FightForCanada2025. youtube.com/@FightForCanada2025. And if you're interested in supporting the cause, check it out. I have some great gear. Subscribe to my Substack. Canadian patriots are going to take this country back.